everybody, Karen Roby and Dallin Adams here for Tech Republic. And Dallin, if we took a survey, probably I'm looking at several houses out my front window of how many actually have some kind of smart device in their home. I would venture to say more than half, whether it's with the thermostat or Alexa, some kind of device that they're interacting with or is controlling things in their home. So we've got, most of us have these. I know you do as well. Obviously, some security issues are always floating around with these, but you're really tackling an interesting sidebar to these devices. Tell me what this article is all about here.
Yeah, the modern home, we have our smart thermostats and our smart pet feeders, and they make life a little bit more convenient, but they also add a new surface to be potentially attacked, I guess. I recently spoke to a researcher involved with this Georgia Tech study. They presented earlier this month at the Black Hat USA conference, all about using IoT devices to essentially manipulate energy markets. So how about someone just hacks in and they want to turn on my smart oven or turn on my, smart thermostat or adjust my air temperature inside my home? That'll increase energy consumption. If I were a utility provider or a power plant company, that might be very lucrative for me.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that people oftentimes, there's certain things I guess that could turn on or go or turn up that people wouldn't or would know right away, but there's plenty of devices that could kick on that we wouldn't even realize are being set to a certain level or even on.
Yeah, some things make more noise than others. I brought that up in the conversation I had with one of the researchers. I was like, I'm working from home right now. If someone wanted to turn on my lights, I'd probably notice. If somebody wanted to turn on my oven or change the temperature, I'd be well aware. And the researcher told me, it's like, definitely, but you can also look at the commonalities in this usage and kind of determine a schedule and use these devices when they're not home typically. I thought about that, and then the researcher also brought the idea of using an EV charger. So you could just turn on the EV charger in the garage, and who's really going to notice that?
So how often is this happening? Do we know? Do we have any numbers on it? Is there a great concern about it? What's the end game too?
So that was the interesting component. This was mainly a theoretical presentation of energy market possibility, a manipulation possibility. And so the idea around that was that, that's another idea he brought up. So if I wanted to turn on everyone's light switches all the time, all day, every day, I would make so much money. I could just do that round the clock and make a whole lot of money, but you'd immediately be found out. So there's a high likelihood you'd be found out rather. So the idea is, instead of doing it all day, every day, you kind of pick your spots, and to make the attacks slightly stealthier. I think that's how they described it. You would do it maybe 2 days a week for a couple hours at a time. And just by those lengths of time, you could make, if you were a power plant operator, an additional $24 million annually based on those estimates.
Wow. So and we were talking about this, of course, earlier before we were recording that, is the information out there available for people to check out in terms of knowing how much usage is or how many devices are being used, and where is this information?
Yeah, and that was a big point the researcher brought up, was the idea that right now, a lot of this energy usage, historical data, and forecasting is readily available online. So if I wanted to manipulate energy markets, I'd want to know how much I could get away with before it looked slightly strange. So if you look at the historical data and you realize, forecasting is typically, there's a 2% small little window there where the fluctuations look normal. There's a 2% margin for error. If you work within those margins, it makes your attacks really hard to kind of discern. Since their presentation, the researcher told me they'd been contacted by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and the FERC had been looking into potential market manipulations, according to the researcher, but had to close several cases due to insufficient evidence. So they'd like to collaborate to learn more.
Yeah, I'd say this is one of those things they're just scratching the surface of. I'm sure as more homes, we get more devices, and this will certainly be something we're going to hear of again, Dallin. Well, interesting thing to think about, and the potential certainly that is there. Your full article, of course, up on Tech Republic, and we hope all of you all will check it out there, and we appreciate you watching.